Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Today we're discussing something fairly rare. This is the Midsize Patek Philippe Calatrava Pilot Travel Time 7234R. It is still known as the 7234R-001, even though it featured a huge mechanical upgrade over the original 2018 variant of the Pilot Travel Time Midsize. So we'll get to that in a moment, but this rose gold watch is a attractive 38.5 millimeters in diameter. Compared to the original 5524, which was 42, this is a much more wearable watch. It is in diameter 37.5, 11.1 millimeters thick, 45.3 lug-to-lug, with an 18 millimeter spacing in between the lugs. So the 37.5 is the right size for me. Well, this model was initially described by Patek as the ladies' model. They got over that fast, as guys took to it almost immediately. And it makes sense. 37.5 is a sizable watch. Historically, it would have been the size of a sports watch and far larger than a standard men's dress watch. So the strap is very tight, and I'm pulling it very tight here. But once it softens up, this watch is suitable for a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference, and my wrist is 16. You can see the lugs are nowhere near the edge of my wrist down the barrel. Very comfortable. Also fairly flat, and it will slide underneath the dress cuff. Taking a look at the strap, calfskin, medium brown, contrasting stitch. It's got the pilot elements, including the cross-hatched stitching and the Clevis style buckle that's distinctive of the pilot models. So you've got all those aviators elements. Remember, aviator straps traditionally calf with a contrasting stitch, and it is a brand new Patek Philippe factory strap. No crimping, no gouging. The watch features a relatively simple case design, and this it inherits from the larger 5524. You could see it as a module on top of the base because the crown sits so low relative to the center line or the midpoint of the case. The bezel's slightly recessed. You could see it's stepped inboard, then it has a vertical lip, then a conical profile that helps to visually thin out the watch. Now, these crowns do have a quarter turn mechanism that allows you to lock and unlock them so you won't accidentally change your travel time. So it's not a water resistance feature, it's just there so you don't accidentally displace that reference, which is the local time, and then the remote time is below. So keep in mind, that is local time. That is the time where you are. Take a look at the date down at the base of the dial, and you can see that it adjusts forward or backwards based on which direction you are traveling across the international date line. A rare feature on dual-time watches is that we have an AM/PM indicator for both our locality and our home time, or our reference time. That's useful, but the number one point of having that AM/PM is so you can superimpose the hour hands when you don't need the extra time zone and clean up the dial, because they're both in a 24-hour cycle. So with the AM/PMs, there's no need for one to be 24 hours and one to be 12 hours. You can see we've got these lovely cathedral-style hands with a hint of a syringe profile at the end, a white varnished and counterweighted seconds hand, chemin de fer, railroad track outboard for reading your seconds and minutes, and then we've got this really beautiful bronze metallic sunburst dial that feels like it's got a little bit of a gradient fade, light at the center, a bit darker at the edge. Quite attractive. Taking a look in the dark, it is a well-loomed dial. We have rose gold hands, solid rose gold indices. They glow spectacularly, and that seconds hand is luminescent. The watch is 60 meters water resistant, which is pretty robust for a Calatrava. I still don't recommend you swim with it just because the primary crown is not a screw down. But this watch does have something that later versions of the 7234 had over the earlier versions. I called this watch unusual, and while the mid-size Calatrava Pilot Travel Time is not terribly unusual, the versions with hacking seconds genuinely are. Now, the 26330 movement was introduced quietly back in 2019. A lot of folks didn't notice, but it spread across the line and only really got widespread recognition when the 5811 arrived in 2022. People billed it as having a new movement for the Nautilus, which was not true. It had previously been in the 5711, but The movement was originally created for the 5212 weekly calendar, and it debuted on that platform, and shortly thereafter the Nautilus back in 2019. Now, this model was discontinued in 2024, so read between the lines, the movement probably didn't reach the mid-size Calatrava pilot travel time until about 2020 or 2021, so there's not a whole lot made with this combination of case size, model reference, and the hacking movement. Turn it all over. It's a good-looking caliber. Like most of Patek's standard automatics, it's a combination of machine finish and hand finish. So we have unidirectional winding, which has been proven in practice, that is on the wrist, to be more efficient than a bidirectional system. If you look very closely, you can see ceramic ball bearings. We have a free-sprung balance adjusted in 6 positions. What is at least the 3rd generation of Patek's anti-magnetic Spiromax silicon hairspring, a 4 Hz beat rate, all this pivoting on 29 joules. And Patek has rated these watches, depending on what year they debuted, between -3 + 2 seconds per 24 hours, and then in the final year of production, it would have been at just the very brief beginning of 2024 when these were being made, -1 + 2. So 4 Hz beat rate, nice decoration, engine turning on the center of the rotor as well as the base plate. We have beveling that is started mechanically but finished by a sort of a felt-tipped drill bit tool to create that mirrored rounded shine. Polished screw heads, slots are chamfered, and circumference also chamfered. Locating pegs such as these 3 that help to locate the balance cock on the base caliber, those are polished on the top. Then we have circular Cote de Genève on the rotor with linear across the bridges. A screwed-in case back, and again, it is 60 meters water resistant, but I still don't recommend swimming with it. Reach out to Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase and pricing details. Just in case I did not mention, it is a 45-hour power reserve. While the model was initially declared as having a 50-hour reserve, I believe 45 is closer to the truth for this Calatrava pilot travel time.